Anybody remember what month it is? I have provided some visual cues. Now, we're all going to be kind tonight. I had multiple someones today, ask me what I thought about this administration removing the rights for healthcare access for transgender people in our country during a pandemic in the middle of Pride Month. Now, I don't know what would possess someone who disagreed with me on this issue to test, but that's okay because I know I'm in the South. And so what I thought I would do would be to just answer with the following story that I'm going to read and my selection of wardrobe and home decor. Transgender bathroom battles, how some parents see it, from May 21st, 2016. What do parents on both sides say about bathroom laws that require lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT people to use the facilities where the symbol on the door matches their birth gender? At times, both sides argue for the protection of children from sexual predators and emotional duress. At times, but for example, Debbie Jackson, a Kansas mother of transgender 8-year-old daughter Avery, born biologically male, says in a telephone interview, people proposing bathroom laws say it's to protect women and little girls from predatory men. The obvious danger to Avery is that these laws would force her, looking like any other 8-year-old little girl, into the men's room alone and potentially right into the hands of those very predators, Mrs. Jackson said. Parents of transgender children, such as Mrs. Jackson, were speaking out after Thursday's narrow defeat in the House of Representatives of a bill to prevent discrimination against government contractors on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity. But Virginia Republican Senator Charles W. Carrico Sr. is a father too. Quote, "As father of a high school student, it is appalling to me," Senator Carrico said in a telephone interview. Addressing the issue broadly after sponsoring a, quote, religious freedom law, Senate Bill SB 41, which was vetoed by Governor Terry McAuliffe. "Where is my daughter's Fourth Amendment right to privacy? Where? She has none. There is only two sexes, a male and a female. Nothing protects transgender as a sex. The LGBT community is not a protected class, and therefore you cannot discriminate against them," said Mr. Carrico. Carrico argues that, quote, perverts, unquote, will take advantage of the right to choose which bathroom to use in order to gain entrance to facilities used by women and girls as sexual predators. The current debate also highlights the emotional duress children face in schools and other public settings based on their gender identifications. Mrs. Jackson's daughter recently attended a bathroom bill protest in Kansas at the state capitol, and for the first time in a long time, Avery was afraid to go to the bathroom, she told me. She's a strong-willed girl, but in this case she was terrified because she had to go to the bathroom and she was afraid someone would recognize her as trans and hurt her in the bathroom for trying to enter it, Jackson says. Avery, age 8, said in a phone interview, "I was scared, but then I decided to go where I needed to go, and I was happy. I just ignored them." A mother in Georgia also asked to remain anonymous to protect her daughter. Writes in response to an interview, "My 9-year-old daughter is just like any other girl her age. She loves American Girl dolls, all things Disney, and has lots of friends. But at school, when those giddy girls pile into the bathroom, my daughter is not allowed and she has to use a separate bathroom. Every day, she and all her friends are reminded that the school district does not recognize her as a girl, she said. She just wants to be herself. The district has told her that if she uses that girl's bathroom, she'll be subject to discipline, such as loss of recess for up to 9 days and a suspension. I look forward to the day when she no longer has to fight to be who she is. On May 13th, the Obama administration issued guidelines to all public schools in the U.S. on bathroom and transgender students. Many transgender parents were relieved, but other parents and politicians saw the federal move as a threat and began to take legal steps. Republican lawmakers in Oklahoma filed legislation opposing the Obama administration's guidelines. Oklahomans are simply not going to stand for such utter nonsense, said Representative John Bennett, Republican, in a statement. He added that the guidance is a violation of the state's sovereignty and an attempt to use our children as pawns for a liberal agenda. Federal guidance is not law, and courts have not definitively said whether federal civil rights law protects transgender people. However, schools that refuse to comply have been warned that they may lose federal education money, face civil rights lawsuits from the government. Massachusetts, where guidelines similar to those issued by the federal officials on May 13th have been in place for almost 5 years. They may offer a window on where some states, if not the nation, may be headed on this issue. Sabrina C., who asked that her last name be withheld in order to protect her child and those she counsels, is an early childhood educator in Massachusetts, and she writes in an email, I care for a transgender child who socially transitioned at age 5. Children need to feel validated and supported in order to thrive. I am grateful Massachusetts follows guidelines that support transgender youth. Children spend the better part of the week in school, and it's crucial that the space be supportive, she added. I think that the last few weeks, all we've been talking about is how our children grow up differently when they're treated differently, when they're supported or not supported differently. It's Pride Month. We're in the middle of a full-blown cataclysmic change in our nation. And today, that administration reversed the medical rights of transgender people and the rest of the policies of the Obama administration for people who are transgender and LGBTQ. So that should answer the question I was asked earlier. Now we're going to go to something positive, as if I were a news anchor. We're going to something positive for the rest of this because the country's breaking my heart. I don't know about you guys, but it is breaking my heart. Hey, Wanda. So, here's a story from October 20th, 2015. Toddler found in a Philly park. Tale of generosity for one homeless family. A 2-year-old boy found wandering in a Philadelphia park on Friday night serves as a reminder of the plight of homeless families, as well as the spirit of community support that often emerges when a specific need is known. According to Brian Jenkins, Executive Director of Chosen 300, an interdenominational Christian ministry, the little boy, Jeremiah, was found barefoot in Love Park after he wandered from a cardboard box shelter while his father, pregnant mother, and younger sibling all slept there. Transit officers found the child and took him to the hospital for treatment. Both children were later taken into protective custody by social services. I have known this couple for a while, and I've known their children when they've come to our location to have a meal, Jenkins says. My understanding is that they have been in and out of shelter. But on this particular night, they did not have any shelter to go to. They had attempted to go to the Office of Housing for shelter, but there was nothing available. In many cases across the nation, homeless families fail to report their lack of housing for fear of having their children taken away by social services. The result can be thousands of children sleeping on cardboard boxes in the nooks and crannies of major cities as temperatures plunge. Jenkins adds that many parents do not ask for help because, quote, They desperately want to keep their families together. There is always fear. It's a very real issue. Parents being afraid to come forward to ask for help, agrees Megan Hustings, interim director of the National Coalition for the Homeless. We have, unfortunately, seen cases of children being taken away from parents because they are homeless, and that's not the solution. We need to help families, not split them up. Also, when a family says there's nothing available at a shelter, that could mean that either no shelter was available or that the family was trying not to be split up. Men are not allowed into shelters designated for women and children only, Jenkins explains. Whatever happened, they were left out in the cold. They used some cardboard boxes to kind of create some barriers and walls and floor to make things as comfortable as they could for themselves and their children. According to Jenkins, the couple have a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and the mother is 7 months pregnant. But for this particular homeless family, that cold night in Love Park appears to have been a turning point. The father, Michael Jones, says, the publicity around their situation has prompted 55 job offers from around Philadelphia. He says he's been looking for work for 2 years. It's like freaking me out that all the love is being pushed out there, he said. Chosen 300 launched a campaign which has raised $12,000 for the family. A lot of times you look at these situations and you think, well, that's a shame, but I can't do anything about that, Jenkins says. But the truth is, yes, we can. And after this family is helped, we need to not stop there, but keep helping the others we're not seeing on the news. That $12,000 will pay for the family's rent for the next year. Jenkins adds that there is a hearing scheduled with the Department of Family Services to determine if the children will be returned to their parents in light of the assistance that's being rendered by the ministry and others in their community. Also, the Marriott Hotel donated a room for their use for a week while more permanent housing was being secured and furnished. We will also be working with this family to ensure that they keep moving forward, Jenkins said. We'll provide case management. We need to address the issues that brought them to this situation so they do not recur. It is not just homelessness that's the issue. In Philadelphia, there's literally a poverty epidemic. It's at least a 12%. That encompasses 185,000 people, and of those, 60,000 are children. While an April report on the state of homelessness in America 2015 by the National Alliance to End Homelessness stated that from 2013 to 2014, overall homelessness decreased by 2.3%, Ms. Hustings says that there are issues with those numbers. The report states that on a single night in January 2014, 578,424 people were experiencing homelessness, meaning they were sleeping outside or in an emergency shelter or a transitioning housing program. Of that total, 37% were families. But Hustings suspects that the numbers are much higher. That kind of data comes from a point-in-time count taken largely at shelters funded by HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and a very large number of shelters and service organizations that do not receive funds from HUD, and so they're not involved in the count. Jenkins adds that in Philadelphia alone, almost 500,000 people in Philadelphia are struggling with food insufficiency, poverty, and homelessness. There's got to be some improvement in the system. In education, re-entry from incarceration, return home from war, aged out foster care, and the list goes on, Jenkins says. Once they're here, how do we provide excellent avenues for them to get out without crippling them by yanking their benefits away as soon as they make progress? That's what we really need to deal with on a daily basis. Which prompts me to give you a really positive, super happy update. Young man that we had all been talking about for a while, Christmas and beyond, who's about to become a father and was living homeless behind the Starbucks downtown, is now not only graduating from the program that our assistant city manager helped him to get into, he's also made it through parenting training. He has a job. He's applied for a better job, and he's about to move into a living situation that is not part of a group home, where he can stand on his own 2 feet. He's learned how to manage money, grocery shop, take care of himself. He was a young man who was lost in the transition between foster care and adulthood, which is something that we grapple with here in Norfolk and around the country. But every person that we get off the streets affects so many more lives, because we didn't just get him off the street, did we? No, our city got him off the street, which means it got his child a better future, which gets his children or her children better futures. And we rise. A rising tide lifts all boats. So here's the last one, more positivity. From December 15th, again, 2015 was a big year. Holiday cheer prompts hundreds to pay it forward at Florida McDonald's. I personally think that now's the time to start doing this, since we're always in the drive-thru now, right? Kindness is so contagious and gratitude feels so good that those taking part in pay it forward chains at McDonald's and other drive-thrus across the nation are demonstrating that goodness had a much greater potential for going viral than grinchiness. Florida is the latest epicenter of spontaneous giving chains, hearkening back to the book and the film Pay It Forward. But the phenomenon persists nationwide, spanning from drive-through lines to supermarket checkouts to other random acts of kindness. In Lakeland, Florida, a woman decided to pay for her meal and out of the car behind her at a local McDonald's drive-through last week, sparking a 250-car chain of positivity. The thing I find most surprising about this movement is that it's stronger now than it's ever been, writes Catherine Ryan Hyde, author of the book Pay It Forward and 30 other novels. The movie is more than 15 years old, 20 now. The book is about to hit its 16th anniversary. When people began Pay It Forward in real life, I assumed the publicity, book, movie were driving it. But what's driving it now? It seems to have planted its own roots. Ms. Hyde says, as far as why people do it, apparently, it's in our nature. This was my theory all along, but now it's been confirmed by scientific studies, she writes. When people give to us, it makes us more giving, she posits. I think when this style of kindness among strangers touches people, it reminds us of something we knew but long ago forgot. I think we are born loving and generous. I used to think we lost that over time, but now I think that we just tuck it away out of sight. It's not all that hard to wake it up in people. The author adds, my message to the people performing kind acts is to not get too wrapped up in the outcome of any given act. Not every seed grows, but if it's growth you want, planting a lot of seeds is always a good plan. Some of those seeds that have grown include customers paying it forward 640 times in a Connecticut Starbucks, 73 times in one in Nevada, and most poignantly, Matthew Jackson, who died the one day after paying a stranger's grocery bill, inspired a Pay It Forward movement in Carlsbad, California. This week, YouTubers Andrew Seitz and Justin Stewart, creators of 2013 viral video Simple Acts of Kindness, are out in Breckenridge, Colorado, playing random Santa to kids they meet on the street with toys donated for the project by lootcrate.com. We've always just wanted to show people that there are different ways to give back, he says. You don't have to have $1 million to be kind and make someone's day. You can just buy their food in a drive-thru. According to David Goodwin, executive director of Pay It Forward Foundation, established in 2000 by Hyde in 2015, the organization provided more than 3,400 books to communities across the United States, including schools in Florida, and more than 35 schools across the country. I'm always stuck at it I'm always struck at when there are these pay it forward chains happening, Miss Goodwin says. I don't think people pay for strangers' meals with the realistic hope that it's going to go on and on for 5, 6, or 7 hours. The kindness chain at McDonald's in Lakeland last week, it's really exciting. It's the holiday, so some people are more inclined to show generousness like this. There are also certain social phenomenon to it, and many people like the idea of being part of something like this. There's also an element of peer pressure. I don't want to break the string, and that's okay. Whatever makes you show kindness, we'll take it. So I think that a little random act of kindness chain starting would not go amiss. I think that since we're all waiting in one line after another to pick something up, maybe we could buy something for the person behind us. Pay their toll when we drive through. It was probably one of the coolest things that my ex-husband ever did was on one of our first dates, and we were in New Jersey, and I was following him to a park, and we had to drive through a toll, and got to be, he went ahead of me because I was following him, and I got to the toll, and the guy said, no, guy ahead of you paid your toll for you. And I thought, wow, there's something really good inside that person. And it was true. I mean, married the guy for a reason, right? We don't want to forget the good stuff. So, pay it forward. It's time. And please, 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 please know, if you are a member of the LGBTQ community, I'm with you. Many people are with you. Anyone who is transgender needs to know that what has happened to them today is not the will of your community. We love you. We support you. And we are with you. So, you're not alone. And so I hope that completely answers the question of the numerous people asking me if I thought it was okay that those medical rights got reversed today. No, it's not. Stop it. Stop it now. Pay it forward. Pay it backwards, sideways, all around. Play nice. Be good to one another. And please, please, be good to yourselves. Because if you're not good to yourself, there is really no way you're going to be able to fully be good to anybody else. I know. I learned that. And I pay it forward to you. Good night.